Happy Super Bowl Sunday, everyone. It's Josh coming to everybody with the Tarot Snapshot for this week. The Tarot Snapshot is a reading about 10 minutes long that goes over who we are in this moment, what vexes and perplexes, and what heals and reveals. This is a short 3-card reading that I do every week. Now, I have been also, if you haven't been catching them, been putting up small morning messages every day, and I hope that folks are watching those and getting something out of those as well. This one is a larger reading, a bigger reading for just that reason. Hopefully I can bring people a little bit of connection, a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of a perspective shift. And the difference between mediumship work and tarot reading is that tarot, we're leaning into the symbols and we're leaning into the chants that the shuffling brings us in terms of, what these cards mean in their sequence. So we're always building a very unique sentence made of symbols. Can't say that mediumship doesn't happen for me when it comes to the tarot, but for this, we're just relying on the symbols themselves and the random chants and how they come together. So I had to shuffle this deck 5 times, and I'm going to cut it right here. Remember that this reading is for anybody who stumbles across it. It's also for me because I have, the gift of tarot for me as well. So this is for me, and this is for anybody watching this video right now. This week we are represented as the 8 of Pentacles. I really appreciate this card right here. This is a card of craftsmanship. This is a card of honing our craft, if you will. The pentacle is of the earth element. The earth element corresponds to our physical shell, our holy vessel, like this part of ourself. This card right here means that the greatest project we'll ever work on, as this person's working on a project, is our self. Balancing the heart and the mind and the spirit and the body, all 4 aspects of ourself into one so we can be balanced and healthy. A reminder about this message though, many of the people that watch my videos, many of my clients are women, mothers, wives, and I know regardless of your gender, you want to be the best version of yourself. You do. And that takes a little bit of effort. Being alive is not easy. Being a human is not the easiest project of them all. And it does take a dedicated, consistent, steady pressure on evolution. This card is indicating that for you to be the best mother, father, best husband, best wife, best parent, well, it takes some effort and it takes working on yourself. So this will be the opportunity where I talk about my old man walk. Every morning I get up and I go on what I call my old man walk. And it's a very religious thing for me. Not because I am an old man, but because I want to be an old man. I want to be an old man. So that being said, be mindful of this. Be mindful of just moving forward all the time and crafting yourself so you can be the best version of yourself. The card that vexes and perplexes us this week is the 5 of Pentacles. Okay, I love this. Got a lot of pentacles going on. So the 5 of Pentacles, I've recently learned that this card, for me, indicates the pity party. But there's a lot more to it than that. These people are, you can see, outside of this church, this shelter. They're in the storm. They're beat up by life. I was just talking about how being alive is not easy. It's not. We're constantly subjected to the external influences around us. We have storms, both literal and figurative, that we have to deal with all the time. That can vex and perplex us. The storms that pass, the storms that are over our head. This card, in terms of this position, is very much saying, hey, listen, I know that you got it rough, and it's difficult to withstand that. For instance, we're walking into a presidential election cycle. That's never pretty for anybody. We're already seeing the tension and the stress of who's going to be the nominee, what's happening here, and all of that. For people who are caring about their lives and caring about their country, caring about their livelihood and the well-being of their loved ones and their community, of course that's going to provide a bit of tension and trauma. That's what this card is talking about. That sometimes, even though we're working on ourselves, our inner world, our body, our heart, our mind, that there's still things that can rain down upon us that cause us to suffer. The card that heals and reveals for us this week. The Eight of Wands. Now, I recently asked a person, when I gave this to them in a reading, I go, and I'll ask you here if you're watching this, are these wands falling or are they flying? And the person that I asked this to, and they're like, well, you can see that they're shooting up, that the leaves are being pushed backwards. So they're not falling, they're being pushed up. And I loved that interpretation. And I had to ask, again, are they falling or are they flying? There's a matter of perspective here. So when this card comes along and talks about the pity party, oh, poor me, oh my gosh, there's a storm over my head. I think we can all be guilty of that at times. This card, a card of perspective, a card of communication, movement, travel, this can indicate, hey, have a different perspective of things. I'd also encourage you to travel a bit. This is a card of travel, messages, all of that, but let's lean into this idea of travel for today. I'll give you an indication. Recently in my local community in Littleton, there has been just months of this awful drama with a local select board member claiming that she's speaking for God by calling all gay people abominations. It has really brought down the energy of our town. It's hard to be here sometimes, and the just watching what people are going through and watching what this person is doing, it has been rather hellacious. My husband and I just went on a little tour, like out of the area, to do some live events, and I was in this town, Shelburne Falls, Massachusetts, and what an adorable town it was. And I was like, oh, absence certainly wasn't making my heart grow fonder for my community. Being in that place made me go, oh, home, how dark it is. And then we moved on to another town, and it was gross. It was. Well, we were staying in a hotel that was horrendous, and we'll never go back there again. But we were given this opportunity to go, sit with your perspective, sit with how you're looking at your home. That in that moment where I was like, oh, home sucks, oh, the community sucks, I was throwing myself a little pity party. And the universe was sure enough to give me something that calibrated me and pointed me in the direction of like, it's not nearly that bad. It just might not be focused on the right things. So perspective, of course, will help us. It's unfortunate that we can all become so desensitized to the beauty and the wonder around us because we see it all the time that we forget it. This is like not really appreciating your loved one until they're gone. And we have to be in that active place of, our community, our home, our towns, our families. They're wonderful miracles that we might just be a little desensitized to, that we should do our best to remember that and shift our perspective. So part of this, going back to the Eight of Pentacles, part of that project of working on ourselves to be the best version of ourselves so we don't have these pity parties, is to work on the perspective of what would cause this. So again, snow, we need it. The ground needs to freeze. It's part of the natural cycle. It gives us garlic and daffodils, and the ground needs to freeze for that stuff to happen. We wouldn't have maple syrup if the sap didn't start to flow. So you can bitch and moan about winter, but really, what is it giving you? And that's the perspective shift. I think it's appropriate to say, end on this quote. I saw something, and I don't even know who I can attribute it to, but basically, if you can't find joy in the snow, you're still going to have snow. You're just not going to have joy. So can we find joy in the things that we've become used to? That's appropriate and important to being the best version of ourselves. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you tomorrow morning.